How are you doing? Welcome to
Yeah,
the
all is well,
podcast.
thank you. Good afternoon, thank you.
Good. Thank you. So, Craig, you've been running alt agency for nearly 2 decades now, and that's quite rare in digital. Take us back to 2006, right? What led you to start a web design agency back then?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually a bit before 2006.
Okay.
I think it was probably about 1998, 99. I got my first computer. Yeah,
Okay.
so I just learned coding from that. I was quite obsessed with the internet and the potential of what it could be.
Right.
So yeah, I got my first home computer back when internet was very, very expensive back then. You had to go on after 8 o'clock.
Right.
'Cause it was like £1 a minute or whatever it was. I can't remember. But yeah, I just got fascinated with code. I'm autistic as well, so reading code is actually quite natural for me. I didn't have any formal background or education, but that's where my love for web design started, which is building my own personal little
Nice.
websites, and then started building websites for a few local clubs and whatnot. But yeah, then Alt Agency actually came about 2006, I believe it was, off the top of my head. And yeah, it was just me as a freelancer really, and it just scaled up over the years. Well, the last nearly 20 years
Okay.
since then.
That's crazy. So you've basically been in the web design space for about 30 years, or 3 decades. That's that's unheard of, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm 38 now, so yeah, 26 years, yeah, since I wrote my
That's
first
that's
line of code when it was just like fiery text scrolling across the page and all this
that's mad. That's
crazy
mad.
stuff.
Crazy. Also, from working with Formula One to charities, that's quite a wide range, right? Was there a
So
specific moment you know Alt had become something bigger than just a design agency?
yeah, I guess our clients are all across the board really. There's no specific sector. We don't just deal with estate agents or we don't just deal with finance companies, even though we do attract a lot of them. But I think probably one of the biggest milestones in the company was probably when we did our real first hire. So we got away from contractors and started hiring to build the actual in-house team. So we had
Right.
something in-house that we could grow, scale, and sell into the future. Yeah, the project manager was really the first hire that we made. So
Right.
before that, it was me doing pretty much everything, writing all the briefs, plotting the designs, scheduling the development, literally doing everything you can think of, invoicing, attending meetings, lead gen, everything fell on my lap. So once I got the project manager, that took
Right.
the whole day-to-day project side off me
Okay.
really, and
Okay.
it's probably one of the most important hires that we've ever made.
That's nice. You basically started hustling, started doing everything on your own, and then you did the first hire.
Yeah,
But
correct. Yeah.
that's nice. Also, 18 years, right? So, how have your services and client expectations evolved over time since you started, and how has that affected your internal team structure right now?
Yeah, I think it's changed massively. I mean, back then in early 2006, what the web, even though it was taking off, it was on the little cusp of the wave before it really rocketed. 2012
Yes.
onwards when it really took off. Back then, websites were really small. A lot of people really didn't know what it was, but they knew they wanted or they needed
Right.
a website. So a lot of the sites you're doing were very bare bones, basic, 5 pages. Here's who we are. Here's what we do. Here's how to get in touch. And as we went through the years, 2014 onwards, probably up until the last 2 years, a lot of the conversations were with clients. We've got a social media agency, we've got a pay-per-click agency, then we need someone to help with our SEO. Whereas a lot of the meetings we've been doing this year, the last 12 months or so, have been, we're turning over 1.1 billion, for example. We want to get to 1.5 billion. How are you going to get us there? It's less about what we do, the tactics. It's more about the strategy and the confidence that we can build in clients to help them get from A to B, really. So yeah, the conversations have changed massively from service inquiries to solution inquiries. Does that make sense?
Right. That is quite interesting. Also, you won awards for being results driven. When scaling delivery, how do you make sure your team can still maintain that high standard?
Yeah, it's a good question, that one. Yeah, so scaling without losing the quality is one of the biggest challenges that we've faced. We've invested in a lot of software as well. Figma, Monday.com, and Monday.com costs thousands of pounds a year. But to use them, we've had to have our internal processes right. We've been a project management team, which has grew from one project manager to
Right.
three at one point. Um, yeah, it's just been making sure everything's documented and that the whole process of onboarding is completely repeatable for each client, no matter what sector that they're in.
Right.
And that the QA process that we've got, because the QA is super, super important. We spend a lot of time at the design phase when the designer checks designs. If they're even a pixel out, he'll spot it from
Right.
the other side of the room. So just that attention to detail in that QI is super, super, super important to what we do in maintaining that quality throughout, as well as hiring as well. Being autistic, it's very hard for me to hire and understand what people are really saying and how they're going to fit into the organisation. So we've got very good onboarding processes to make sure we can train anybody up from, not no experience, but relatively low experience right the way through to the point where we need them to be.
Right, right. So, I mean, this is a question that I wanted to ask. It's not on the script.
Sure.
Do I have your permission to ask?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go for it. No worries.
So, you said you hire someone like anybody with relatively low experience, and you can train them and have them do a good job because of your onboarding process. So, if I have to ask, let's say, what are like the two, three things that you look for in a candidate when you hire them? Like,
Yeah. So I guess it depends which role they're applying for, because the business is split into a few different services. So design and development, left to right side of the brain, completely
okay,
different
right,
personalities. Like our creative designer, for example, he prefers to get his work done in a few hours, take long breaks, go for a walk in the forest and whatever he likes to do just to
right,
clear his brain. So that personality type is completely different to a developer, usually quite introverted, wants to be left alone. Set the task very linear, do A, do B, do C,
right,
and move forward from there. But as long as they've got very good attitude to the work, they want to get the job done. They understand that the client is super important. About the client, there'll be no business. So we look for traits like that and how they will get on with other team members, and just their whole attitude and their ethos. Their persistence to challenges, their openness to new challenges as well, and of course,
right,
importantly, very important in this day and age is the new tech. Tech's moving very, very quickly, so we always look for people who are always looking to learn more and further educate themselves as well.
right. Interesting, interesting. Also, now we can go back to the questions on the
Sure.
script. So you're working with e-commerce brands, charities, and media groups with such a diverse client base. How do you ensure each client gets that custom touch without burning out your core team?
Yeah, I think the diversity of our client base is one of our strengths, because we don't focus in one area. It's really helped us, through COVID as well. And I've got some friends who run or ran agencies as well, and they were very focused on hospitality, nightclubs, that kind of stuff, and they got really really affected. And through COVID, because our client base, sorry, was so vast, it helped us to get through it with very minimal disruption. But again, it comes back to our delivery process and the project management process that we've got absolutely ironed out. Before even a line of code or even a pixel for the design is plotted out, we've got these documents called SRS documents.
Okay,
They're basically like an instruction manual or roadmap for the whole project, which the
okay,
whole team are trained on. So
right.
if a developer's off sick or unwell or something new comes in, as long as they're trained on our processes, they can read this document and pick it up at any point and know exactly how to do the project from any point.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So you have like a document which basically tells uh, how to do, what to do, when to do things. So in case uh, a candidate or an employee is not present, someone else can take over and still finish the project.
Exactly, yeah. It's literally just like a step by step one, step
Right,
two, step three, and
right,
anyone can pick it up. But that SRS document that we call it is then tied back to Monday.com. That's where we did sprints. So the instruction manual is broken down into tiny tasks on
okay.
Monday.com. So we can go in, see the update, the progress on them, and somebody can just pick it up from any sprints basically and run with it from there.
Oh, right, right. And what does SRS stand for, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, software software requirements specification. So
Okay,
we use that. It's a very old term
okay,
from years ago. So our
okay,
project manager has been in IT for
okay.
best part of 30 years. So it's just a name that we've always stuck. I mean, it's
Right,
basically just an instruction manual. Really, that's what it
right,
is in very
right.
very
Interesting.
simple terms.
Also, are clients mostly coming back? for performance redesigns or retail style work, and how do you plan capacity around these cycles?
Yeah, so to answer that question, clients come back for different reasons. Before we build sites, everything we do has got performance at the heart of it. We always want, when we revamp the site, we always want it to be a step forward in terms of conversions and inquiries compared to where it was before. And you hear so many cases out there of people who've spent tens and tens of thousands on the website. Somebody's just gone in, completely revamped it, no thought behind it at all, and it's worse than
Right.
what it was before. So
Okay.
we spend a lot of time looking at the data, Google Analytics, Hotjar, Inspeculate, all of these different tools to make sure we can find the frustration points and not carry them over to the new site. But it depends on the inquiries we get. So some clients will come for us and they'll just want purely SEO. We still get those type of inquiries where we just have to go in and treat it on a case by case basis. But
Oh,
clients who've been with us from start to finish, which is design, development, SEO, and maintenance, they'll often want a website built and then they'll want it maintained and then marketed. So they'll follow that type of journey.
right.
And to handle the capacity, sorry, the second part of your question, Monday.com. I mean, without that tool, Monday.com would be quite lost. So we've got all schedules in there, so we know who's doing what next week, where the pinch points are going to be. So
Right.
we're a good 4 to 6 weeks in advance from where we need to
Oh,
be, and that just helps us plan into the future.
interesting. Also, Craig, can you spell it for me, please? Mundi.com?
Oh yeah, Monday, as in the day, Monday,
Monday.com.
Monday.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big project management tool. You can break things down to sprints, and then you can spit out all the charts behind it as well, so you can see whose time's gone where you're going to get breaks in
Right.
schedule, where you're going to be. You're too tight for your schedule. You need to allocate
Okay.
additional resources. So we use that to run absolutely everything, design, development, and SEO as well.
Yes, I will definitely check it out because I'm also in need of something like a CRM. So I will definitely check out Mundi.com. Also, you focus a lot on CRO, right? So what's the most overlooked piece when a client wants a site to convert better?
Yeah, from the conversion rate optimization, a lot of people don't look at the data. Yeah, a lot of people assume things, and they don't really understand where the bottleneck on the website is. So, looking at data, it tells you so much. It's actual real life data, whether that's Google Analytics or screen recordings like Hotjar or in Speculat. These things tell you where the exact problem is and what you need to fix. But a lot of people just don't bother going into that much detail, or they're not aware of that much detail. And
Right.
another thing that is super important with solo is, of course, split testing, different variations, different headlines, different images, different language on the buttons, different call to actions, different
Right.
colors on the buttons.
Right.
All of these little micro improvements add up over 12 months to quite big improvements.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. Also, Greg, can you share a before and after story where after you went in and did the design changes, it significantly moved the revenue needle for a company?
Yeah, so we've got one e-commerce client I can think of right off the top of my head. 40% year-on-year growth with their
40%?
yeah, year-on-year, yeah, and that's all it's all measured as well. We can't make this stuff up. It's all measured and accountable as well. I think the average sale conversion the average conversion, sorry, increased by 27%, and the average basket value increased by 35%. I think it was off the top of my head. But again, it just comes back to micro, tiny improvements. So with this being a e-commerce website, they had one payment gateway on there. They've now got four, including pay monthly as well, which makes a massive difference. Customer support to build AI bots for them, so people can go on there, find out where their orders are just by putting their codes and everything in,
Right.
and building, productizing the individual products, if that makes sense. But bundling them probably is probably a better way of looking at
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
bundling the products. So if someone's going on to buy a shampoo, for example, we can bundle it and they can buy all three together to
Right.
increases your upsells.
Uh-huh.
And subscriptions are absolute goals. They really are. So just rebilling the customer each month for new shampoos, conditioners, that's massively helped increase the sales as well.
That's That's crazy. 40% year-on-year growth is unheard of.
Yes,
And
and that's since 2020, I believe, we started working with them. So yeah, it's been across 5 years. So yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, very very consistent.
very nice, bro. Very good. Very nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Also, you built a team of creatives and developers, right? We just spoke about how creatives and developers are completely different people. Like
Yeah,
creatives, they need to work for a short period of time, then they, go off into the forest and take a walk or go for a
yeah.
swim. And developers, they need to be introverted and just focus and just do the task. So, what's your current process for finding new team members, and what's the hardest part about hiring right now?
Yeah, so hiring's never been my strong point. I've made a lot of mistakes over the years, a lot of hiring mistakes. So
Okay.
I'm in no means any type of expert. I'm an expert in getting it wrong, but yeah, I mean it takes a lot of time. So I've got a good team of advisors around me as well. We've got a non-exec director, we've got who's a board advisor, then we've got the project managers and the heads of each department. So they're all involved in the interview process as well.
Right. Right.
But again, it depends what kind of role we're hiring for. I mean, we've just done interviews. We've probably just interviewed 30 people across the last 6 to 8 weeks for a biz dev role. We've ended up taking on two people. We were only
Okay.
originally planning to take on one. But
Okay.
it's, yeah, I guess it's just understanding the personality the best that we can. And being autistic, it's very hard for me to read and understand people. I take things quite literally. So that's why I need the extra help around me from the non-exec, the board advisors, and the team members. So it's
Right.
more of a team effort.
Uh-huh.
It's a wider effort rather than it just being on my
Right.
shoulders. Because yeah, that's probably the thing that I struggle with the most across the whole of running a
Yeah.
business is recruitment for sure.
Right, right. And I'm sure your hiring process is also quite lengthy because you mentioned 60 people applied and you ended up taking two people. That's like uh, less than 1%, less than
Yeah,
0.5%,
yeah.
right?
I guess we've kind of got a bit of a, rather than a ask me, tell me type thing. I guess we do a lot of, we narrow it down quite quickly. Rather, so it's rather than ask me, tell me, it's kind of ask me, show me. So like because this is a business dev role, we ended up, I think we went to about from those however many it was interviews that we did, we got it down to 3 or 4 that went through to pitches where they were pitching what they would do for the next 3 months. Designers have always been the easiest for me to hire because you look at their design work, it's visual, you
Yep.
like it, you can understand what's going on.
Mhm.
Developers, yeah, I've got a development background, so I'm okay with hiring developers, but anything more kind of abstract, to do with business development, culture, account
Right,
management, that kind of thing, I've always
right,
struggled with.
right. Also, have you experimented with remote or international team members? And if so, how does that work for you?
So we've got team members who work remotely. I mean, we try and get into the office when we can and when needed for client meetings and client presentations and whatnot. Way back in my early days, we did when it was just myself back 2006 2007. We did quite a bit of outsourcing back then. It didn't really work for me, to be honest with you. Communication issues, internet
Right,
issues. I'm sure they're
right,
a lot better now. I don't know because it's been
right.
20 years since we did that. But no, back in when it was 2016, 17 onwards, we started to try and build everything in house the best that we could.
Right. So also, have you ever had a moment where you said, "We need help. I don't have 6 weeks to go through, hiring, onboarding, and training." Like, have you ever been in this situation? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, quite often. But the answers, the solution to that, sorry, is probably a lot easier than you would imagine. Because when we sit down with the team, if I sit down myself and I think about it, and I'm in that situation, and I think that to myself, that's when you start to get a bit, how are we going to come out to this one? A bit panicky, a bit nervy. But when you sit down with the team members, there's always somebody who knows somebody else, right? And there's
For sure.
always, yeah, across the brain power, there's always somebody who's got an answer within
Yeah.
the team. I mean, there's 15 of us all together in the team right now, so within that skill set, somebody's going to know somebody, somebody's going to have the answer. There's
Exactly.
always a solution to it, whether that's short term or long term.
Also, a lot of new agencies want to scale fast, but stuck hiring. What would your advice be for building a lean but powerful team today?
Yeah, I mean, so we didn't scale fast at all. I don't. In COVID, when we went into lockdown, we took on a lot of extra contractors because the work was we're very busy and there's a lot of work. There's a high demand during lockdown, you know, as COVID. But yeah, we've never actually scaled that quick. But I think it's got, you know, hire slow, fire fast is probably the thing. You know, really take your time when you're hiring to make sure you've got the right person. Because the last thing you want to do is take somebody on in, you know, we've taken on two people in sales, for example. If we'd have taken one person on and they don't perform in 3 months and we have to get rid of them, that's 100% of our team is gone, you know. So we took two on. It's a bit of a bold move, but
Okay.
you know, if one doesn't work out, it's only 50% of our team. But getting the processes right is absolutely essential. And yeah, I think everyone's got their own unique personality, which will flow into their processes.
Right.
And as you grow your team, they will add to the processes as well. But those processes are key to drop somebody in, you know, step one and take them all the way through very,
Right.
very seamlessly.
Right. So, also, what's one mistake you see new founders make when trying to scale too fast, either with sales or with staffing?
Yeah, I mean, probably overspending. You know, everybody wants the big flashy offices. You know, I'm working from home today. You know, I've only got,
Okay.
I think the only money I've spent on here is my two Ferrari pictures behind me. But
Okay.
a lot of people will, you know, they'll spend tens of thousands of pounds on the signs, kitting up the offices,
Nice.
the big glass walls around, glass doors and the glass walls around their offices, and just going absolutely crazy on stuff that's not really going to put cash in the bank, really.
That's true.
Whereas I think you should really be focusing on getting that first customer,
That's true.
figuring out how it is you can get that first customer. Is it repeatable? Is there 5 or 6 different ways, you know, to get 5 or 6 different customers, and scaling that and really proving it, and then going all in on
I,
that. I think is probably the big mistake that people don't
I,
do. They think sales are going to come from thin air, right? But
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't.
I agree with you 100%. Even when I hire for my agency, I do not do anything except for these two things. If I spend on something, either it has to save me time or it has to make me money. If it's not doing either of those, I'm not spending on it. So I have this strong policy that I, do you think that is that okay? Is
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's got everything we do. It's got to generate a return on investment. Otherwise, it's a quick route to bankruptcy, right? And burning, wasting
right?
your money.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, yeah, just getting that process right and just making sure you can scale it up from there. And that every pound you spend is accountable.
Yep.
'Cause a lot of
Yep.
people as well who start their business. So I never had a traditional job. I just
Mhm.
evolved from this from when I
Nice.
was a teenager. I just grew it from there. So I've never actually worked in an agency.
Right.
Whereas I think a lot of people come from agencies thinking they're going to bring the black book with them, and there's a whole team supporting people, you know, marketing team, sales team, and then
Right.
suddenly a lot of people on their own, and the sales aren't coming. They're like, well, they did
Exactly.
before, but there's teams of people,
Right.
marketing, sales, everything, conversions, everything
Right.
is different teams, and now you're on your own. So yeah,
Right.
that's one thing people forget is that you're probably going to be on your own for a little while until you start growing your teams. You've got to remember that you know sales aren't just going to come out
True.
of thin air. You know, build it and they're not necessarily going
Yep.
to come. You know, it's not true.
Exactly. I am with you 100%. Also, I wanted to ask you, as soon
Sure.
as the call started, like, are you a big car person? Because I see, the steering wheel and the Ferrari
Yes,
behind you.
yes, huge Formula One fan. I'm surrounded by that's my Ferrari, so I'm surrounded by
Great.
cars,
Nice.
cars everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, going back to when I started this, my whole reason for starting the business was I wanted to get a Ferrari. Yeah, about 10 years ago, I was very fortunate that I could go out and buy one. Yeah, so yeah, that was my whole goal was just to get a Ferrari. But as you get older, I'm quite tall as well. I'm 6'4.5". So
Okay.
when I
Okay.
sat into a Ferrari, the steering wheel was right between my legs. It hurt my back. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm too tall for a Ferrari. But yeah, but the whole reason for starting the business was so I could buy a
That's
Ferrari. That's all I ever wanted since I was very young.
that's crazy. I mean, a lot of kids, like when 15, 16, 18, 20 years old, that's all they want. They want to make money and
Yep.
buy the Ferrari, right? You actually
Yeah,
did it.
they're not very practical. And of course, in the UK, you can only drive 70 miles an hour, and so the speed is useless. But they do look very beautiful. They're very beautiful
Yes.
cars to sit in, very
Yes.
beautiful cars to drive.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not sure I'd spend more money on one right now. To be honest with you, I prefer something a bit more practical.
Yep. Yep. Interesting. Interesting. Also, you're now the MD at Taking Off Investments, right? Are you
That's
seeing
right. Yes.
are you seeing more service businesses or tech deals?
Yeah. So taking off investments is my investment company, which I started up very recently. in the last two to 3 months. So
Right.
I've been investing and managing my pension through the company, investing in the stock market. Some of the companies I invested in were up 52% year on year, which I thought was quite good. And I was telling other people about it; they were quite impressed. So I thought, I could probably try something a little bit more on the side, and that's where taking off investments came from. So it's very early stages. We're only very early conversations with people, but a lot of them are tech SaaS companies that are looking for capital to scale up. They're looking to prove their idea and
Right.
scale it up from there. But the companies that I'm going to be invested in are going to be in my circle of competency. So I'm never going to invest in like a restaurant or a shop because I just don't. I don't understand that market. I've never done it. Anything to do with tech, they're the opportunities that we're really looking to invest in. But yeah, it's mainly tech companies that we're seeing their demand for. But it's only a handful of companies we're in conversations with. But yeah, very early days for now.
That's quite interesting that you say that you do not understand the restaurant business. It's the same with me. I also do a little bit of investing, but I do not invest in any sectors where there are a lot of passionate people. Because
Yeah,
with a lot of passionate people, it's just crowded and it's very difficult to. I would rather choose something quite boring or something mundane, uh, where there are very few people and easy to compete. So
yeah. I think it's that circle of competency. We invest in what we know. I'm sure there are people out there who invest in a
yeah,
complete
true,
wide range of things, and
true, true.
everything they touch turns to gold. But
Yep.
I'm a bit more nervous than that. I prefer to focus on what I know inside out and play to my strengths really to give myself the best chance.
Fair, fair. Also, when evaluating founders or deals, what's a non-negotiable do you look for?
Um, yeah, what's a non-negotiable? I mean, one of my favourite books that I ever read was a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm
Yeah,
sure everybody listening has
yeah,
heard of it as well. But
yep,
those key traits in that book, you've really got to look for in a founder. That burning desire, when you're being dragged through what feels like absolute hell, that you just get back up and you keep going and you want to keep fighting no matter what. Persistence as well is an absolute key because, with tech, there's lots of failures, but one tiny tweak and suddenly it turns around. But those traits, persistence, that burning desire to just, nothing's going to stop me. It's complete blinkered. This is going to happen, no
right,
matter what. And somebody who's focused on numbers and marketing as well, because business, if you've got cash flow issues, it's usually a marketing issue. Everything comes back to marketing sales, really.
right,
So
right,
someone who can generate business, the black book, and just start generating revenue as quickly as possible, really.
right. Interesting. Also, we are almost at the end of our questions. First client you ever landed?
It was for a author who was looking to launch their book. I believe it was back in about 2001, 2002. It's a little 2 or 3 page
Okay,
website that I think I charged about £20 for it back then, which when I was 14, 15 was a lot of money, back then. But yeah, it was for an
right,
author way back.
right. And what's the most fun project you worked on till now?
So the most fun project. I mean, we did a lot of stuff with F1.co.uk, which is really fun. So I love Formula One, as you can see in the background.
Right,
But we did a massive project for the NHS, which has got lots of simulations in to help the NHS streamline their processes and to fill up. So not to fill up, to free up more appointments and be more efficient. That was a really, really, really good,
right,
very, very challenging project. But they're also different. But yeah, that's just two that jump out to me for personal reasons more than
right.
anything.
Fair, fair. And also one tool or software you cannot live without.
Oh, that's got to be Monday.com.
One day,
Without that,
I knew it.
everything falls apart without that, right?
Okay,
Because we have no idea what's going to happen.
I knew it because you.
Monday.com for sure.
Nice, nice. Also, what's the most underrated skill in a founder?
Um, Probably the ability to zoom in and zoom out, which eh, the best way I can describe it, it's like trying to run a marathon and a sprint at the same time. You're trying to
Right,
focus on your weekly targets to meet your monthly targets, to meet your quarterly, to meet your yearly, and
right,
you're kind of then we've got the director who just wants to focus on the 3 year and the 5 year vision. So it's
right,
kind of trying to run a sprint and a marathon at the same time. I think you've got that skill and you can balance that, which can really mess your brain. It can really, really mess your brain up. It takes a
true.
lot of time. Get the free time to focus on one or the other. That balance of zooming in, zooming out, sprinting and marathons is absolutely I think, essential if you're looking to grow your agency and really sell it into the future and make it a valuable asset for you for years to come.
That's quite interesting that you say that. Interesting.
Thank you.
Also, Craig, thank you so much for doing this. We are
My pleasure.